Good morning to all. I'm Candle Summers, if we haven't met yet. One of the teachers at PIMC. It's always lovely to be sitting in with you, especially on a beautiful morning like this, since we have Labor Day upon us. It seems only fitting to read a couple of Labor Day poems. One by Nosheen Irfan. One who lays brick after brick to make you a house deserves a decent house too. One who often falls to death from the upper story of a skyscraper deserves to rise socially too. One who sweats in the sun, dehydrated to the bones, deserves a hearty meal too. One who carries load on head for a meager amount in return deserves more than a temporary roof. Respect the soul that earns working with sunburnt hands. Acknowledge with open heart the dignity of labor. It could be an especially good day as we go out doing what we do to
recording in progress.
Acknowledge those that we see on the streets who might be laboring in our behalf and aren't taking the day off. See if we have most of our people joining us so far. Here's another one by Ashish Dimri. Don't ignore workers as they feed me and you. Irrespective of their contribution, they fend off the blues. A sanitary worker to that cab driver, all are nothing but our destiny makers. As farmer hands, as industrial workers, they change worlds. They keep worlds. Had they been away, we would literally die. It's Labor Day today. Please don't feel shy. And one more by Sylvia Francis Chan. Countries, dependencies, colored by observance of International Workers' Day, also Simple Labor's Day, on the first day of September. No public holiday for the Netherlands on this day. Labor Day's origins in the labor union movement, specifically the 8-hour day event, which advocated 8 hours for working, 8 hours for recreation, may also be sporting, and 8 hours for rest. Yeah, I know, the workers did their best. Sylvia Francis Chan. So as we take this time this morning that we have to greet each other and sit together as happens every morning, acknowledging all of those who help put food on our table, who pave our roads, who put groceries on the shelves. Those of us ourselves who have labored most of our lives, showing kindness to ourselves and showing kindness to others. Acknowledging this day in when it was, I forget, the late 1800s, I think it was, maybe, President Cleveland or something like that. A U.S. holiday, and we have many U.S. workers and many immigrants. And so with that, the welcoming of all of us, all of our ages, our ethnicities, our cultural heritage, and our religious background, our socioeconomic group and ability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Welcoming all as we come together and practice for the benefit of all beings and for this living earth. We aspire to do no harm and to dismantle barriers that cause separation and suffering, and recognizing that our liberation is interconnected with the liberation of all. And taking time to acknowledge and be respectful and thankful for all of those who came before us, the indigenous peoples whose lands we are now seated on. Here in the Portland area, the Willamette, the Clackamas, the Cowlitz, and the Confederated Tribes of the Silex and the Grand Ronde. Thousands of years that they made their homes along the Columbia and the Willamette rivers. Acknowledging those indigenous communities of the past and the present and the future, grateful for their contribution and their vibrant presence. And also acknowledging in our lineage and our legacy those of Asia and Southeast Asia, immigrants of the 19th century that came here, brought Buddhism to the West, and the privilege that it is that we have in this human birth to be able to practice and hear the teachings of the Buddha. By honoring the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. That ability to have a peak of it at enlightenment as we notice moments of clarity, moments that we have freedom from suffering in our hearts and in our minds. And really understanding the practice, the teachings as taught by the Buddha, that we have this opportunity in this lifetime to hear them and to practice them. And we have our Sangha, each other, to practice with, and all of those Sanghas that have gone before us. Taking the opportunity as we settle in our noble seat. Perhaps the place that we've sat regularly, perhaps it's a different seat. Letting ourselves be aware of our feet on the floor of gravity, of the feeling of pressure or warmth. Just noticing under each foot, being present here with gravity, our seat in the chair, pressure, warmth, heat, tingling, whatever we notice, mindfulness is coming to the fore. letting our hearts and minds and body settle in this place. Perhaps setting an intention that comes to mind, a simple intention of being present and mindful as much as possible, a simple intention of holding ourselves with gentleness, with kindness. This practice is simple. It's not often easy. We try to make it kind. Gentle, having ease as we take this meditation position. We can use this practice of mindfulness throughout our day, walking, standing, moving, reaching, eating. But we have this precious opportunity to bring it to a single position, letting the stimulus that is so much around us when we're busy in our day to settle down a little. Letting the practice be more simple as we focus on the breath. At the nostrils, feeling warmth or coolness, whether it's the exhale or the inhale. Or maybe we notice the breath the most at the diaphragm. We notice pressure and expansion on the inhale, and on the exhale we may notice the release of that pressure. Wherever we focus on that single object of attention at first can help us develop concentration. Maybe we notice it at the sits bones where we're seated. This is just a place to let our attention come back to when we find ourselves lost in thought or caught up in feelings of aversion about something or grasping at something. When we just want to return to the present moment. And we continue holding ourselves in a kindness and a sense of compassion as things sometimes are difficult when they arise. We have challenging emotions that can arise. We have challenging body sensations that can arise. We're present with whatever comes into view. And mindfulness with awareness holds it all, is present with it all. Whenever we feel lost, confused, we've forgotten what we're doing, maybe we're tired or just inattentive, we just begin again, right here in this moment. This moment feels like this. We may notice that it's pleasant or unpleasant. Maybe we can't tell, it's neutral, those three categories of Vedana, of feeling. It gives us one more focus for the wandering mind to attend to when we want to clarify our practice a little. Staying with the breath for deepening concentration. And then allowing wisdom to arise, to pay attention to what's perhaps unskillful, unnecessary, not useful. And wisdom can just let that go and incline the mind more toward skillful, toward kindness, toward compassion, toward noticing the feeling tone of what's arising. Returning again and again to the breath of the nostrils or belly, or to the touch point of the seat, or where the arms or hands are touching. We have an anchor to return to, and then we can open up and broaden our awareness to each of the sense doors. Just being here with what's arising. Seeing clearly with awareness and wisdom. So many attitudes of the mind arise, so many states of the mind arise as we sit. Even mindfulness is a mental state that comes and goes, like all mental states. Sometimes it arises and passes away on its own, and sometimes we establish its presence. We put forth the energy with an intentional act of just enough effort to see that our experience and our skill in meditation increases, and it's easier to arouse mindfulness. And it remains established for longer periods of time. As we keep returning over and over again to the present moment, to holding ourselves in kindness and compassion for whatever arises, having just enough energy, seeing these mindful moments, continuity of practice, connected together one after the next. Sometimes in our practice, difficult things arise. We don't need to run from them. We observe them with openness and kindness, with compassion. As we hold ourselves in that light, it's a non-harming way to respond to suffering. It allows us to handle grief and fear and anger in a tender way, which can really help us transform suffering into insight and into compassion. We can also see pleasant states arise of joyous moments, pleasant moments. And this gives us a perfect reflection of seeing where we attach to what seems pleasant or push away what seems unpleasant, and to really experience firsthand the impermanent nature of what is showing itself to us. We sit in mindfulness, in the neutrality of open gentleness. And as we let ourselves be held in this awareness, in this mindfulness of the present moment, we also hold ourselves in kindness and compassion. We remind ourselves to be at ease. And as you know, I usually like ending our time together in some metta practice. And in acknowledging Sister Ayya Khema, the 100th anniversary of her birth, she was a Buddhist teacher who was known for providing opportunities for women to practice Buddhism. And she founded several centers around the world. And she helped coordinate the first Sakyaditi International Association of Buddhist Women. And she was a very strict Vipassana teacher, written lots of books, and also has some beautiful recordings of her loving kindness practices on Dharma Seed. And so I'm going to try to play a guided meditation of hers. I hope that it will be heard. When I sat with her in Hawaii, she did several guided meditations, one on a fountain of love. This one is around a flower garden. So let's see if it can be heard.
In order to start, we'll put the attention on the breath for just a few moments.
Can you hear it? Wait a sec. Okay. She's not saying anything right now. She told us to put our attention on the breath.
We'll imagine that we have a
Is that
beautiful
audible?
garden of flowers growing in our heart.
Okay, let
The
me
most
see.
exquisite blooms, lovely fragrance, growing and being cared for through our love and compassion. And we can enjoy this garden and all the lovely flowers in it and feel at ease. Have a sense of well-being within the flower garden of our heart. Now we'll cut a beautiful bouquet of flowers, the loveliest ones we can find, and hand it to the person sitting next to us, expressing our love and care through this gift. we'll think of our parents, whether they're still alive or not.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's coming across well enough, so I'll let it go for now. And I'll put in the chat links to hearing some of her guided metta practices. And so as we take this time to bring kindness to ourselves and to others, we hold ourselves in a place of well-being, of ease. Wishing ourselves to be free from harm, to be safe and protected. May we have happiness and the causes of happiness. May I be at ease, no matter what's happening. May I hold myself in kindness when things are challenging. Letting this place in our heart be nurtured, inclining our hearts and minds toward gentleness, toward kindness, towards non-harming, however subtle that might be. And may we generate in our hearts this sense of well-being for others. Bringing to mind a close friend or a teacher, a benefactor. Maybe a child, an animal. Wishing this being, holding this being in our heart, wishing them to be at ease. May they have well-being. Maybe you use the traditional phrases. Maybe it's a felt sense for you. Maybe you have visual imagery to see this person happy and healthy and at ease. Whatever it is, we are inclining the heart and mind toward this metta practice, toward this karuna practice. We let equanimity, upekkha, be our foundation, especially as we hold in compassion another person's suffering, that we don't fall into extremes ourselves. We're open and present with equanimity. as we let this kindness and compassion flow to others, choosing another friend or benefactor, someone, a being from whom we've derived benefit. May they be at ease. May they be free from their suffering, free from danger. May you have happiness and the causes of happiness. May you hold yourself gently and with compassion when things are challenging. And as we develop this open-heartedness, this metta and compassion practice, it's reflected back to us as we include others in our circle of kindness, in our circle of goodwill. People that we don't know. Those workers we were talking about earlier. So many around us. Such a web of interconnection that we have with all beings. Maybe a neutral person comes to mind, someone you recently saw and don't know. Wishing them well-being, knowing just as I wish to be happy, I know that you also wish to be happy. May you be free from your suffering. May you have ease in your life. Letting this sense of ease and kindness spread to others, those known and unknown to us, those who are in joy and those who are in sorrow, those beings that are seen and those beings that are unseen. Those that swim and fly, crawl and walk. May all sentient beings everywhere have ease. Be free from harm, safe and protected. May they know happiness. In all directions, in the east, in the south, in the west, in the north, above and below in the oceans and below the surface of the ocean and above in the sky. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. May this generous heart of ours that we are cultivating as we see causes of suffering, as craving and attachment, and understand the letting go and the freedom that comes, the sense of well-being and ease that comes from letting go. May all beings have this experience. And may this holding in our hearts of all beings be felt to ourselves and to others. Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya domino upakitava meruchanti te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. By seeing this clearly, seeing that they arise and pass away, it brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. May the goodness of this practice benefit all sentient beings. May it benefit you. And thank you for the joy that it brings me for us to practice together and the joy that we share with each other from this practice. It is truly a gift and a gem that we have in this lifetime.